Welcome back. This video will provide an overview of the Audiogram Start screen in HearForm Pro. From the HearForm home screen, I'm going to click the Audiology button here. And I can go to the Start screen by clicking this little triangle right there. It's kind of hard to see because it highlights the whole area. If I click this larger area, then I go to the air conduction screen, which is the most popular, after an audiogram has been created. But we're going to click Start there, and you'll see that it goes right to the Start screen that way. Another way to get to the Start screen is simply to create a new audiogram, and by default, the process starts at the Start screen. So notice when I hold the mouse over here, it says don't click this button if you want to navigate to a previously created audiogram. That's because you want to click one of the audiograms themselves. Otherwise, it's going to create a new blank audiogram. So let's go ahead and look at what happens when I create a new audiogram. I'll start by clicking the button right up here. And now instead of 7 audiograms for Jennifer, I now have 8. You can see up here a total of 8 have been isolated out of 472 total audiograms. So when you create a new audiogram, it isolates all previous audiograms for that particular patient. And coincidentally, I can kind of scroll through them this way. Let's go back here. If you have a wide screen, then you might be able to see this part over to the side, and that shows additional information. For example, I can navigate to those different records just by clicking here. And I can also navigate, if I can't see that area to the right, let's say you have a screen that's not quite wide enough, you can click this little hamburger icon, as they call it, and I can navigate through my various audiograms for Jennifer. Or if I'm showing the entire found set of audiograms, I could see a much longer list there to navigate through. So let's talk about the Start screen and its purpose. Well, we're going to be walking through air, bone, speech, etc. in just a moment in other videos. But this is the natural place to start because we want to make sure that everything's in place before we add an audiogram to the system. Now, by default, it's going to pull in today's date. So if I go to back at the beginning here, it pulled in the date that I'm recording this here. But you may want to change that, so you can click here and select a different date or just type over that date right here. By default, it's going to pull the assigned audiologist from the home screen. Well, normally Athena may be working with this patient, but for some reason she's on vacation or ill, and Patricia or Robin actually is performing the audiometric test today. So you can change that if necessary. In the same way, normally this patient comes into the Boynton Beach office, but today they're coming into Pensacola. So you can change that if desired. Well, the default here is office is where the test is being performed, but occasionally you may make a house call or a retirement center, etc. So you can edit this list and put in your own choices in there. And if you care to, you can designate a test location. The observing party is automatically pulled in from the home screen based on the relationship of, let's say, the spouse. So the family relation is pulled in there automatically. You can type something else or backspace and delete that. The transducer type, you can edit your choices right here. You can put in a number of different choices, but that's going to pull in a default based on, let's look at this hamburger icon here. Excuse me, I did the wrong button. It's the setup area is what I meant to do. So here, if I go to page 2, then I see that I have the default that I can set up. If you normally use headphones and you don't want to have to put that every time, then just change it to headphones or inserts as needed. So it's going to pull that in, but you can override that in case you're using some kind of a different system on that particular test. We can set the audiometer to a specific audiometer every time, or you can simply choose from the drop-down list of choices here. Again, click Edit, put in all your own audiometric information there, and then it will give you that option. Again, contact support and we can help you set, if you always wanted to say, for example, the GSI 61 or AudioStar Pro or whatever you'd like there. And then finally, you can set your own choices here. They don't have to be excellent, good, fair, and poor. Just click Edit and put in your own choices and then choose from the drop-down list. I believe the default is always going to say excellent. You can change it if needed. So now let's talk about this area here to the left. This is where you'll put in your otoscopy results, and you can put those in a couple of different ways. You can click a button and enter one or more choices from your setup area. How do you set those up? Well, you've probably seen in the other video, you can get right to the area right from here. I clicked the wrong button. And this takes you to an area where you can set up these buttons at the top to say otoscopy normal or whatever it is you want. That's the title of the button essentially. And then down here for up to 10 choices, you can put in the result of clicking that button. For example, a sentence, maybe just a phrase or a paragraph, it doesn't matter. With one click, you can have it fill in all that information. So you may want to click this button to set up that information ahead of time. So that's one way you can put in information. I'm going to backspace and I can simply just type, or if I have Dragon Naturally Speaking, or I'm using an iPhone or an iPad with FileMaker Go, then I can dictate, just as I'm doing right now, with a microphone into the field, and it makes it a little bit easier, period. And that made it a little bit simpler to put that information in. I can then fix something that wasn't quite capitalized correctly, etc. So that's another way you can put that in. And then finally, you can choose from a series of choices here that are in this drop-down list that we're borrowing from the SOAP Notes area. So for example, I can just click that button there and then choose something differently maybe for the left ear. So how do you, of course you wouldn't want to put the right ear on the left ear, but you get the idea. Let's scroll over here and I'll choose something else. So how do you set those up? I'm going to show you in the SOAP Notes video much easier later, but under otoscopy in the SOAP Notes part, then I can click this button here and set up all, let me make this smaller so you can see it here, but I can set this up to put in all my own choices in that drop-down list. It's a much more extensive way of doing it, but you just have those different options as we go back to the start screen here. So very easy to enter your otoscopy results right there. Then we see some audiogram comments. Well, you could just click into the field and start typing. You can dictate with your iPhone, iPad, or Dragon Naturally Speaking, but you can also set up these quick entry buttons to very easily, as you can see, just holding the mouse over gives the first part of the comment. So if I click that button, it puts in that information. If I come down here, I can put in that information and that information, etc. So just holding the mouse over gives you an idea of what's going to be placed in there. You may want to put that in there for very quick audiogram comments if you're not going to use our SOAP Notes, for example, and then you can just make changes as needed. So you may say, I fit the patient with Phonak product, I'll delete all those other manufacturers right there. So how do you set those up? Let's just click this button here, and you would title the name of the button here, and then go to the next one and title that button. And as you can see, the information below in that field, below each title, is the content that will be placed into the field as you click that. So it makes it very easy to create an audiogram with comments if you're not going to use our SOAP Notes simply by clicking that information. So I'm going to clear all that, just highlight it all and delete it. And again, I'll just click the word emittance, or otoacoustic emissions, etc. And I can manipulate this later if I want to put a period and then delete something and put it right next to it or whatever. So once it's in here, you can still manipulate the text, and that makes it just a little bit easier. So that gives you an idea how to start on the start screen. And I'm not sure if I covered, but this button here will delete the audiogram if you have sufficient rights to do so. What we're going to cover in the next videos is, I'll go very quickly here. By the way, there's a little I button here too that tells you when the audiogram was created, who created it, and who last modified it and when. That's what that button there does. But I'm going to look at air conduction, bone, speech, emittance, and on and on and on as we scroll through these different fields in subsequent videos. And please be sure to watch those and get more information about the rest of the audiometric module. Thanks for watching.